Believe in yourself. You can do it. Anybody can do anything that they want. If you're dreaming it, just do it.
Woo! Guys, we are here back today from Closings to Capital. Your podcast host, Javier Paredes. I have a special guest, Mandy, here, who's about to kick it off, telling you from a full-time mother with a family of 2 and a beautiful husband. She's coming in here, bringing the heat. I'm telling you, man, this woman does it all. From Airbnb to assisted living to lending to fix and flips. I'm just mind-boggled about what she's about to pack, the heat that she's about to bring today on Closings to Capital. My favorite guest here, Mandy. What's up? Thank you for coming.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I know we've been talking about this for a long time.
Too long. And oh my God, I am glad that I've gotten you from Jacksonville to Orlando. And I know you're doing it just because you're taking a flight tomorrow out of MCO. But drop the heat. Let us know. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us the audience who you are, where you come from. Give them a little bit of snapshot of your background.
Absolutely. Well, as mentioned, I'm Mandy Konecki. I have been living in Jacksonville, Florida for roughly 20 years.
Wow.
Started out in real estate by buying a flip blind, 8 months pregnant while my husband was out of town.
Woo!
That was an interesting story.
I feel like that's how people are going to resonate with you because you have like the family background. And a lot of people think that, hey, if I have a family, I can't do this.
Oh, you can do everything.
Love it.
I had a full-time job, a dog. Like I said, 8 months pregnant. My husband was out of town. We just talked about getting into real estate primarily as a hobby. It wasn't going to be a full-time thing. It was more, hey, this is fun. You're handy. Let's check this out. It gives us something to do.
Wait, are you handy or is your husband handy?
I used to be. I actually give him a hard time for that too because I had my own toolbox. I used to do all my own things, and then we got together when I was 30. So already established, had a house, but he was super handy and has all the Milwaukee tools and things, so he cleaned out my garage.
You were handy, but he was super handy.
Yeah, and then I decided I wanted to be the female and like let him be the man, so got rid of all my tools, and then he kept traveling. I was like, I don't even have a hammer anymore. I don't have a tape measure anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, but he's did.
So you went from working full-time. Where were you doing full-time?
I was selling seafood to food distributors. So
Wow.
I was managing a national account, a couple $1 million worth of inventory, importing from 28 different countries and traveling all of this country, managing corporate programs and things. So nothing related to real estate.
So this is what people are going to wonder. People are going to wonder, what was the first moment where you're like, okay, let me go from working full time, I'm pregnant, let me add an extra layer of stress and buy a piece of real estate. Let's be real. Like, this is what people are thinking. Like, she's working full time, she's managing, millions of dollars worth of inventory of seafood, and now you add an extra layer of stress of like, let me buy a piece of real estate while I'm pregnant. What woman thinks about that while they're pregnant, other than Mandy?
Yeah, I guess one that doesn't want the opportunity to get bored.
Okay.
So that's always dangerous. So I've always feared getting bored. So I keep my plate full all the time. But the flexibility of being able to go design another house and something that's going to fulfill another homeowner and be beautiful, which is obviously the part that most women like. Mm-hmm. The men do the things behind the scenes, the piping, electrical, and things that you don't walk in and get that awe effect. Mm-hmm. But it was just another project.
But what made you think about a flip though? You're pregnant. You wanted something to do. You never done real estate before, okay? People getting into real estate, I'm sure that they're watching YouTube videos, Instagram shorts. They probably have some influencers that they follow. Why did you go from working all these hours and, holding these corporate accounts accountable and inventory, et cetera, having your family, it was your second child, right? I believe.
No, that was my first.
Oh, your first. Mm-hmm. Okay. Your first child, to saying, hey, I want to specifically do a fix and flip. What was were you reading a magazine? Were you on a YouTube video? What was the fix and flip effect for you?
Well, everybody watches HGTV.
Okay.
And our theory is always, why are you watching other people do things when you can be the one doing it? So turn off the TV and go make your own show. Grab the toolbox, go
Love it.
shopping, grab a paintbrush, do the things that you're seeing on TV, and execute what you're learning and watching other people do, because there's nothing like doing it yourself. You watch people on a boat, that's amazing. You're watching other people doing it. Why aren't you enjoying that? Why aren't you feeling what it feels like to have the wind in your hair?
Right.
And what they show on TV is not the full thing. They condense a 6, potentially 12-month project into a 30-minute episode. So the real way to learn is just doing it.
Gotcha. So your real first moment of like, hey, let me get into fix and flipping was watching HGTV.
Yes.
Which actually I know about that. It's funny because I don't watch TV, but I do know about that show. And I remember I used to watch it too, and I was like, man, this is such a cool show. And like you said, it's not really the reality of what it truly, truly, truly is.
Yeah.
So walk me through that. So you had your first property that you bought as a fix and flip as a full-time employee and your first child, okay? How did you understand the fundamentals of fixing and flipping? And like, how did you get to a point where you're like, this is the deal that I want to buy, this is the market I want to buy in? What gave you a somewhat of a blueprint, or were you just taking imperfect action 100%? You're like, you know what, I want to fix and flip. Oh, I've heard about hard money lenders, and I'm just going to go that route, right? But did you follow anyone, or does it?
No, it was pretty much option B. Learn by experience, learn by doing,
Okay.
failing forward. So Keith, my husband, was working out of town. He came from Ohio, where the union jobs pay a lot more than they do in Florida. So he was traveling to places like Seattle, Colorado, Hoover Dam, etc.,
Okay.
and then coming back in the meantime. So my friend had posted, we've always talked about getting into flipping because he was handy. I had a lot of equity in the house that I had owned as my primary residence for about 7 years. So I already had a HELOC pulled on that.
Okay, gotcha.
Not for anything in particular, just because I wanted to be able to tap into the equity whenever something came about, regardless on what that could be. So I was laying in bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, like I said, 8-month belly,
Love
scrolling
it.
Facebook, and one of my friends had posted that she had a house for sale for, I believe it was around $60,000. I took a quick screenshot, sent it to Keith with no words, kept scrolling, and his response was, okay. So I text my friend, hey, I'll buy that house. Went through that. I did a cash sale because, like I said, I used my home equity line of credit, so that's like a little piggy bank. And he comes home, we go walk the property, and his jaw drops, and he was like, what were you thinking when you bought this property? And I was like, what do you mean? You said okay, so I bought it. And he goes, but what did you think when you walked it? And I was like, oh, I didn't walk it. I didn't come check it out. And he's like, oh my gosh. It was a hurricane flooded house, so it backed up to a preserve, so we had to strip all the drywall, remove all the cabinets. It was more things than we expected, which is per usual.
Okay.
I think that's how every project usually goes. But it was also a great learning experience because we literally did everything. It had a pool, and when we uncovered the pool, there was a alligator living in there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it was a little bit of everything. But it was super fun. We got to learn all the things. We made a lot of connections. So we met cabinet people, roofing people, contractors, agents. So the agent friend that I bought it from was very helpful. She was also an investor. So I leaned on her a lot for referrals, or who do you use for this?
Right.
What would you do about that? Because it was a bigger project than we expected.
And was this in Jacksonville?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And we hadn't done a flip before. The timeline was a little bit longer than expected. Fortunately for us, the market was also on the rise, so we were able to continue to make money on that property, even though we continued to put more money into it and the holding cost.
Gotcha.
But that was a great way to learn,
Yeah.
and wouldn't change it.
Yeah. I love that. So, I get a real good vibe that you're just a woman of imperfect action. You know what? I don't need to learn whatever I want to learn. You just go out and do it.
Absolutely.
You don't get the analysis paralysis. You're just like, hey, I'm going to go out and do this. I don't need to study it. I'm just taking imperfect action. And just like you said, Keith was like, man, did you ever walk this property? Like, what were you expecting? So that deal you bought for $60,000 through your friend that you saw post on Facebook. Walk us through what it looked like from the time you started the project to the time you finished it, and how much money did you put in the property versus how much did you make out of that property? Because you were leveraging your home, your HELOC loan that you had on your property. So what did that journey look like?
So it probably would have happened a lot quicker, but like I said, Keith was going in and out of town for work projects, ranging 2 to 3 weeks at a time. So that put a lot of wrenches within the time frame of leaving and then coming back.
Because you were leaning on him to do some work?
Yes, so he was doing all of the work at this time.
Oh,
so
okay.
Since then, we've scaled and have a whole construction team. But in the beginning, this was his baby. This was going to be his full-time job of being able to do everything except putting a new roof on. So the time frame to get start to finish was probably about 8 months.
Okay.
We had to drain the pool, learned a lot about chemical imbalances and chlorine and this and shocking, etc. So that was a big science experiment. Cabinets, counters, like I said, we cut half the drywall off.
Right.
Keith was an electrician and pipe fitter by trade, so he was able to do all of the electrical work, plumbing, our light fixtures and things, which is extremely handy because that's where a lot of the major costs usually come in from.
The big ticket items.
Yes. So that, and then we ended up doing carpet, which now we keep consistent floor plans, but we did carpet in the bedrooms, tile. But it was great because once the carpet was in, I would take the baby over there. She wasn't moving, so she would just lay on the carpet and hang out. I did take her in the pool for the first time, probably a little bit too soon. It was March. She did not like that, but it was also probably really chilly.
Yeah.
But it's cute to have pictures of her as a 3-month-old at her first fix and flips. They're heavily involved in where we are today. And then we ended up listing it for sale for, I want to say, around $189 and ended up selling it for $174.
Okay.
So all in all, with our holding cost and everything, I think we were in it for about $60,000. So a total of $120.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a good net.
Okay. So you're in it all in with holding costs, with the acquisition purchase, all the repairs, all the miscellaneous fees, realtor commissions, $120,000.
Yes.
And then you sold for $174?
Yep.
174. Okay. Now, there's a couple things that you mentioned just now, and I know what people are thinking. They're probably wondering like, wow, she said that way too easily. Let's rewind just a second. You mentioned that Keith looked at you, gave you that funny face of like, hey, babe, did you ever walk this property? How does partnership, because you guys are both transitioning from the corporate world, right? Full-time jobs to wanting to be real estate investors. What was really the conversation? Or how do you advise someone that wants to get their partner on board? Because what I see a lot of times is I feel that a lot of people don't take action is because they look at their partner and they say, hey, I want to do something, and that partner doesn't believe in that. Which to me, that would be like you don't believe in your partner and don't believe in their vision. So when he looked at you and said, hey, did you walk this? Was the conversation really that easy? And what would you say if it wasn't that easy to someone who wants to get their partner over that threshold of saying, hey, I want to real estate invest either with my 401k or the equity in our home? Because let's be real, that's high risk,
Absolutely.
So
communication is key within any partnership. I honestly think a great partnership is being completely opposite, because if you agree on everything, you're not seeing the alternative side. But if you can both bring your vision and your angles, your concerns, your excitement, etc., it kind of paints a bigger picture. And then each party is able to see the other side where you're not just seeing one side. The conversation was actually pretty easy because we had already owned it, and we're both pretty logical at that point. There's no point of saying, well, I wish we wouldn't have. Let's not do that because it's already too late. It was like, all right, so where do we go from here? I guess we grab hammers and saws and we start getting to work and doing what we can because this is where we are today. And it was exciting. I mean, it's not brain surgery, so no one was getting hurt. It wasn't anybody's life on the line. So it always makes those decisions so much easier. So I always tell people that too. Like, don't stress about things. If you're going to be stressing about it for the next 5 years, you just wasted 5 years of opportunity.
Right.
All the things you could have been doing by just taking action and moving forward and taking steps to get to the places you want to go instead of analysis paralysis, which isn't going to get you anywhere. But honestly, just open communication, explaining your side. Here, this is the numbers. This is why I want to try it. Even if it's a break even, there's still opportunities to come in and learn.
Relearn, right.
Yeah. So I call it tuition, because
Right.
when you do so many projects, there
I like
is going to
that.
be one that you end up losing money on.
Correct, 100%.
But you'll make that back.
Absolutely.
It's everything. So it's cost of tuition. Like
Right.
most people go to college, and I think what's the average ticket cost for college? I'm going to say $100,000. It's probably way more than that
Yeah,
these days.
Who knows? A lot.
But if it costs you $20,000 to walk out of a property, the lessons that you learned on that
Love that.
are way more valuable. So your future one, you're going to avoid those things that you did, or be more cautious on this step and that step, etc.
So what would you say to a listener that's listening to this right now, and they're having problems with their partner, and their partner says, "No, honey, I don't want to do this. This is not going to work." Would you tell them just to go all in and go for it? What would you tell that individual right now? Say, "Hey, Mandy, I need some advice. My significant other doesn't want me to do fix and flip. I really believe in fix and flip. I heard what you said on the podcast the other day. How do I go forward and not, piss off my partner?" In other words.
Well, if it's a partner, like a business partner, I would suggest getting another partner, because you're obviously not going to move forward with that.
Relationship partner.
If it's a relationship, significant other partner, honestly, just proving yourself. Of just saying, "Hey, can I stay in my lane? Can you stay in your lane? Let's not talk about this today. This is really what I want to do." Follow your dreams. Don't blow your candle out to level out to somebody else.
Yeah. The reason why I asked that question is because I know what people are thinking when they're listening to us right now. They're like, "Oh," and I've getting calls like this all the time. "Hey, me and my partner had a 401k. We lent on this deal. It didn't work out." Or, "Hey, we did this fix and flip and it didn't work out and I failed." And people want to stop right there.
No, you can't, because it's not a fail.
Yeah, people want to stop right there. And I like what you said just now. You said you're paying a tuition, and the learning lessons that you will get out of everything that comes along the journey of you fixing and flipping is worth way more than you'll ever net. Mm-hmm. It's worth millions of dollars. The contractors you'll meet, the lessons that you'll learn, the skill sets that you'll learn, the people you get to collaborate with. A lot of times people are so focused on just the negative and the outcome that didn't happen, that they wanted it to happen a certain way. It didn't happen that way, so they give up. And in our mindsets as human beings, we are wired to where if something doesn't go that way that we wanted it to go, it's like we completely stop. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm even guilty of that. Like, I've had that feeling before. It's like, man, this didn't work out. I'm not going to keep pushing forward.
It's scare factor.
Exactly. And so that's what I like about what you said. It's like, this is tuition, guys. Pay your dues, get in the game, whether you make $100,000 at the end of the day at that closing table, or you make $0 or break even. The best case scenario is actually you break even, right?
Yeah.
I
mean, my very first sub 2 that I did, I lost $20,000.
Right.
And I was proud. I told everybody, I was like, "I'm so excited to lose $20,000. And people were like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, I listed all these mistakes I made. And I was like, I could have lost a lot more because I just went in, didn't do it. But what I learned in the paperwork, I was like, man, I can 20x this just on that one lesson.
Right.
So if I take everything that I learned by losing that $20,000, I can easily make that money back, knowing what I learned.
Yeah.
And I would have not learned that anywhere else but besides doing it.
Love it. And, I think this is what separates you from a lot of people, because I see you have your hands in a lot of different things in real estate, now that you're not just fixing and flipping. And we'll get into that in just a second. But you go out there, you execute with imperfect action, not needing to know every single little detail about what you're executing on. You take that imperfect action. You know and understand that if there are losses along the way, which that's natural to happen, you celebrate the losses. Mm-hmm. Right? And people just want to celebrate the wins.
Yes.
And you celebrate the losses and the wins. And I don't think you realize how powerful that is.
Absolutely.
That's like a superpower that you have. Seriously, most people get down on themselves. They go home, they freaking cry, they put their head under a pillow, and they say, "I'm never doing this again." Or let's talk about the partnership that is a husband and wife, and that they did use their 401k and they lost, 40, 50, 100 grand. Mm-hmm. I see it all the time.
All the time.
And they don't try again. And see, that's the difference between you and that other person, is you will try again. You are celebrating the losses. Another thing I want you to touch on in a second is because the people who are listening to this and who you're really going to resonate with is the mothers, the families out there. You also mentioned saying, "Hey, you know what? In that flip, we put down carpet. And the carpet that was down, I would put my baby down and let my child hang out while I'm doing this." Talk about how do you incorporate things as a mother, a confident mother. You're a confident mother that walks this earth. You're not just a mother, you're confident in your abilities, not to only execute on the flip, but you're also confident to have your child laying there while you're working on your dream. So how does someone go about that?
I have always been the one that takes them everywhere. I don't want them to be raised by babysitters and grandparents and anybody else. I want them to be completely involved with everything I'm doing, whether it's going to the grocery store, the gym, to work. And that is the most beautiful part about real estate and being an entrepreneur and being able to work for yourself is you make your own time. You can involve whoever you want. When we go to Home Depot, the kids go to Home Depot. Right now they're 5 and 7, but they completely embrace it. And it makes my heart so full when we're walking to a property or we're driving somewhere and we get in the car and I was like, hey, we're going to go walk this property. Can you guys give me a scope of work? So I involve them that way. So they have a little notebook and in the car they'll be talking to like, well, I think we're going to need new cabinets and we're going to have to paint this. And I'm like, we haven't even gotten there yet. And they're already making their own scope of work on things. And I just think it's really cool because at that age, they will embrace anything. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know what's cool. They don't know that they want to go to the beach or they want to watch TV or they want to be YouTubing. They will do whatever their parents do because when they're young, you are the coolest person that they know. You're their idol.
Right.
And all they want to do is spend time with you. So them being involved is great. They have a little toolbox. When we were laying floor at one of the properties, they were learning how to work a nail gun when they were 2 or 3 years old. And it's so cool. They have safety glasses on, just being able to embrace that. So involve your children. They want to do what you're doing. They want to know what mom and dad are doing. They want to hang out. They don't want to be put in a corner with an iPad while you're working and doing
Love that.
things. Like,
Wow.
I do Zooms. They sit on my lap. They participate. They wave. They want to know who's this person. What do they do? Things like that. So it's really cool to be able to involve them in everything.
And this has given them, I'm gonna use the word that you just used, the analogy you use. What you're doing is giving them tuition. It's free tuition, right? You're the role model, and they actually have free tuition to University Mandy Flips. Like that's amazing, and the amount of things that they're taking from this, and the takeaways that they're taking from this, and the way they're in their future, they're going to be able to pivot and have the skill sets that you're teaching them. You can't put a dollar amount on that. There's no monetary value on it. It's like that is amazing.
Yeah, it's survival.
Yes, this is amazing.
Yeah.
You're literally teaching your kids at a young age stuff that you're already doing. Instead of saying, hey, let me get a babysitter. Hey, babysitter, I'll pay you $20, $30 an hour to watch my kids for 3-4 hours. I want them out of my way and out of my life for the next 6 hours. You're saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to incorporate you guys. I want you guys to be involved. I'm going to show you guys real life lessons. Going to the Home Depot, me talking to contractors, right?
Yeah.
And guess what? Kids are a sponge. They absorb everything.
They love it. We use it as lessons too. So when we're doing measurements, they'll use the tape measure and I'll say, all right, what was that number? Okay, so we need to move it a foot off of this. How much is a foot? How do you subtract that? How do you add this? Okay, what about that angle?
Yeah.
So you can incorporate your life and your family and your children and everything that you're doing and maximize your time together. And it's significantly less stressful if you're doing it together because you're not watching the clock. And when do you have to get the kids? When do you have to pick up the babysitter? When do you have to be home? Are they going to be doing this? And just living the life that we were blessed to be here for.
Wow. So what moment did you go from full-time corporate America, right, managing all this seafood inventory, to being a badass full-time real estate investor?
Well, I'll tell you again, people always have a plan, and it's, I'm going to do it when, I'm going to do it if, when we get here, and that doesn't seem to always work. I did it because I couldn't handle it, unfortunately, or however you want to say it. I am only blessed with 24 hours in the day, just like everyone else. I've always asked for more every Christmas. I'm like, hey, Santa, can I get like 40 hours in my day? What did I do wrong this year? Because I didn't get more hours in my day. And we just got to a point that I was doing everything. So I was my own property manager. I was my own acquisitions. I was my own dispo. I was my own listing agent, designing my own properties, XYZ, as well as my own bookkeeper, my own accountant, my own bill payer, as well as my corporate job turned into 2 jobs. So my boss had quit and I took on his job as well as mine. And at that point, I was like, I am a mom. I'm running 2 very senior level jobs and a book of Airbnbs, which is very demanding because it's a hospitable industry.
Correct.
And then we started bringing on some more long terms, and things were starting to slip through the cracks of me not really micromanaging the people that were moving in. And okay, they didn't pay on time. I'm going to give them more time for the eviction. And then things were just sliding. So I had to choose which one to leave, and I left the W-2 because I was voting for myself and wanted to get more flexibility and time with the family. Not saying I don't work any less. I probably still work 7 days a week, but I don't feel like it's work because I can work from a boat or I can work from the RV. I work from home when the children are home in the summer and they're in the pool and I'm outside watching them swim while I'm also doing work. We're more in a portable day and age where you're tracked everywhere. You have your cell phone, your iPad, your blings, and all these things. So it was just that time. I wouldn't say there was a number in the bank or there was X amount of doors, because a lot of people say, when I get $500,000, when I have this much cash flow, when I have, well, if you give yourself a little bit more time and you focus on that, you can get there a lot faster. So if I would have said, when I have $500,000 in the bank or I have 30 properties, it might have taken me 4 or 5 more years because I only had 2 or 3 hours a day to spend on that. But when I freed up my time and I had 12 hours a day to spend on that, I could execute that maybe in 30 days instead of 3 or 5 years.
Right. Okay, so you didn't have to have any specific metric and you just went for it. You're just like, hey, I feel like this is the right time. This feels good to me right now. I'm voting on myself. And we all know if you vote on yourself, you're getting elected.
Yes.
And was he on the same page about that as well?
Yes. Well, he did the same thing 5 years prior. And it was pretty much the same conversation. He gave me about a 24-hour notice.
Oh, got it.
And he was like, we had 3 flips going on at that time, and he was doing all of them himself, as well as working full-time and having a child. So he was like, hey, I've got to leave to focus on this. And I gave him the green light, and he quit the next day.
So what was the time frame from the time you went from concept in your head, being pregnant, hey, sweetie, here's the screenshot, just bought this house for $60,000, to the time you went full-time in real estate?
It was about 6.5 or 7 years
before
we were both full-time real estate.
Gotcha. Okay. So
I'm sorry. It was 5 years.
5 years.
Yes.
Okay. Before you guys both left your W-2. Now, did you leave first and you said, hey, Keith, let's have a cushion. You keep corporate America job for another 1 or 2 years. We have that steady income coming in. Or did you guys both say, okay, this is right around the time we're going to both leave?
He actually left first.
Oh, he left first.
Yeah, which was pretty scary. But like I said, we had a handful of flips going on, and he was the handy one. So he was leaving his corporate job to go finish up
the flips,
remodeling, and then I kept my job as the stabilized income until we realized that wasn't the life we wanted to live because we weren't doing it together. Somebody else was monitoring the PTO, and honestly, there was no such thing as PTO in the industry I was on. Even if I took a day off, there was zero chance of physically really taking a day off, and it was working for somebody else. So I was working 12, 14 hours for someone else's dream.
Right.
Instead, I was like, I want to work 12 hours for my own dream, and I want to build my own life.
Right.
With the little people that I love.
Absolutely. You want to get yourself rich, not someone else.
Yes.
Like I tell people, you either get yourself rich for your dreams, or you work for somebody and get their dreams accomplished and get them rich.
Absolutely.
Like you pick and choose what you want to do, So Keith was doing a lot of the manual work at the time when you guys had those 3 fix and flips that he was working on?
Yes.
Correct? How have you guys done the math on how much bigger are the margins from the time you guys are actually doing the labor work versus hiring out individuals?
We have done that, but the way I look at it is the scalability.
Right.
So it really didn't cost that much more. I don't remember what the percentage was. I'm just going to say maybe $15,000, $20,000 more to hire a contractor or a GC than it was for him to do that. But we were able to do 3 to 5 properties at a time instead of 1 property at a time. So when you're doing everything yourself and using your own capital, because that's another thing that really, really scaled my business, as we were using our own money, our own HELOC, so we could only do one at a time. And then we had to wait for that property to sell.
Correct.
So if it didn't sell in the first 30 days, maybe it took 3 months, we couldn't do anything else because we were waiting for that cash out. Then we would sell that house, and then we would go hunting again. So you don't usually buy a house the first day you start looking, too. So it ended up being that we were only flipping one house per year, which is great. You can definitely live on that if you're doing it right. But today's margins, if you're looking at an average of a $300,000 house, most flippers are targeting a 10% margin. So you're only getting a $30,000 payroll, which, again, it seems great, but if you're averaging it out for the entire year, that's a lot of work than hours that you put in.
10%'s low.
Yes.
Holy smokes.
Yes. I mean, I know you always want more.
No, of course.
But that seems to be the target.
Wow.
So now that we can do 4 to 5 at a time, we can do 20 to 50 flips per year and having someone else do that. And then he's able to be with us too and doesn't have to be with the safety goggles and running
100%.
to Home
There's
Depot
only
and
one
Lowe's
key. Yeah. So now that you guys are doing flips at scale, what are so there are two things that a newbie would want to focus on right now. They're going to think, how do I get the money and how do I find the deal? What takeaway could you give them as far as how do they get the money and how do they find a deal? What happens if they don't have a HELOC?
Network. It is all about the people. The people have completely changed my total view on everything. Tell everybody what you're getting into. As soon as I started posting things on social media, people don't like to do that. Myself as well. I don't like to put all these things out here, but you really have to, because what I found is everyone likes seeing it, including myself. I was like, man, I was a social media consumer, and now I feel obligated to put things out there because people are so interested and love watching the journey and what's happening and what's going on here, that if you find a deal, the money will come. I have people coming to me that want to invest money, and that keeps me motivated to keep shopping. I want to keep my contractors busy because I'm supporting their families. So if they don't have projects to work on for me, how many people are they relying? If they have a crew of 10, they each have 2 children and a wife, that's 40 people that I feel responsible for keeping money on the plate. And then it's also, it just depends on your perspective. But when people want to invest their money, maybe they have a W-2, maybe they're a doctor, maybe they're a widow and they got money left behind from their estate. They don't know what to do with it. I have the ability to make them good returns on my properties. So I feel obligated to help people do that because I know how, and a lot of people don't. So I've spent a lot of money on masterminds and a lot of networking and collaboration. And the way I view it now is that it's my responsibility to share what I know, any knowledge, any tips, any connections. If someone's looking for this, I'll connect them with this person. So join your local RIAs or go to the networking events. They're everywhere. Every city is having them. There's virtual ones. There's social media, networking groups, and everything. But I feel like this industry, most people want to share.
Right.
Yeah, they'll give you their information and their contacts. And
the money that you're raising for your flips right now, is it mostly, would you say it's people out of your mentorships money, or is it people like in your personal network or people that you've actually closed a deal with in the past and they're being repeat individuals?
It's my personal network.
Okay, your personal network.
I try to do that first. I will go to my masterminds as well because everyone's familiar with real estate and it's comfortable. And when you're comfortable with things, you kind of flows easier. But I like working with my organic network that's not necessarily involved in real estate because they get to learn more.
Right.
And it's like a new thing for them. And then it's a repeat business.
Yeah. And they're most excited too. They probably don't know a whole bunch about it. It's kind of hard sometimes when someone knows too much about real estate. It's kind of like they got 9 million questions and they never do the deal with you. You know what I mean? Versus like the 9-to-5er who wants to be in real estate but doesn't have the time, doesn't have the skill set, doesn't have the know-how, doesn't have any resources other than their money, and they're able to partner with you and you're able to get them a return. So what percent would you say now in 2025, what are you borrowing money at? So I'm Mr. 9-to-5, or I have $100K sitting in my bank account. You approach me. What type of return are you giving me?
It depends on the deal and it depends on the position, obviously risk tolerance, but I would say between a 12 and 20% returns.
Okay, so is that capital you're raising from them, is that just to cover the renovations, or are you getting the hard money lender to fund the acquisition and the renovations, and then you're taking their money and using it for other miscellaneous stuff? Where's that money going exactly?
So I do structure deals a couple different ways. Traditionally, I will use a hard money lender for roughly 70 to 80% of the purchase price.
Okay.
And then they'll fund 100% of the renovations.
Okay.
And that's held back in escrow and on a draw system. So I do not get that money up front. It's when the contractor starts doing the work, and then we submit an invoice once
Correct.
some of that project's done. And then escrow will release some of that money and give it to the contractor. But being that it's not 100% covered, I do still have to come in with an entry fee, or AKA a down payment.
Right.
It's roughly about 20%. So the average is about, let's just say plus or minus $50,000. That's where my private money lender typically comes in, is they cover that entry fee. As I've learned, that's the best way that a real estate investor wants to get into a property is with zero of their own money. I will pad the deals and make sure the numbers work to be able to pay a hard money lender as well as a private money lender, and make sure there's enough profits on that side.
So are you using a spreadsheet for that?
Yes.
Okay. So you're underwriting it. Do you share that with your private money lender, or do you just say, hey, let me have 100K. This is approximately the type of return that you're going to get?
I don't share my spreadsheet with them because it's pretty basic. It just has all of the properties and all the deal information. But I share everything about the deal. Like, you can come walk the property. You can learn this. Here's the contract. You want to see that? Like, it's an open book. So anybody that lends on any property, it's kind of like free education. You can come.
Tuition.
Yeah, exactly. And they're making returns on it, so they're actually getting
Gotcha.
paid tuition.
So 8 to 20%.
18
Wow.
or 12 to 20%.
12 to 20% that you're giving these private money lenders.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
okay.
it's great returns.
So 12 to 20%. And are you doing anything to monetize your database for these lenders? So, for instance, what I tell people is, if when you raise money, and I've learned this from having to raise millions of dollars, right? You were probably talking a couple hundred thousand here. But I always tell people, if you want to raise money at a really high level and you just want to focus on raising money for deals, which is a job in itself, you have to monetize the avatar borrower that you're going after. Are you going after doctors, lawyers, maybe tech people? Who do you resonate with that has lazy capital? And when you really hone in on that individual that you want to raise capital for, those are the only people you go to raise capital for. It's not like, hey, anybody can get in my deal. I'm dealing with, dentists. And especially when you start dealing with the SEC regulations and stuff like that, you have to be accredited investor, this and that, blah, 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 which technically in residential real estate, you could fall into that guideline. We can leave that for the securities attorney to answer. But, and I know most people in the residential game don't do it because I've been in the game for 10 years and no one talks about SEC guidelines. But when you're getting into bigger deals, you're talking, you can go to prison, especially you're giving people returns, or you're saying guarantees, or whatever. There's a lot of little things. But what are you doing to monetize? Like, do you send out? I always tell people, if you want any type of business to survive, database. When you create a database in a CRM and you love on that database, you'll always have repeat customers forever. So what I meant by my question is are you doing anything to nurture these people? For instance, email campaign. Hey, we just did a fix and flip on 123 Main Street. Here's Bob. We just got him a 12 to 20% return. We got his money back within 12 months. Actually, Bob's going to take his money and go back into the next deal. So you're creating this whole entire storyline, and you're hitting people with, not only are you hitting them with emails of what you're doing actively, but you're also using it for value. Like, hey, here's what the market's doing in Jacksonville. So are you doing anything like that to monetize these people, or no?
On a small level.
Okay.
So right now, regarding the flips, it's more just natural connections, more personalized, because I do have an entire list of people that reach out to me, and I will add them. They are in my database, but I am not starting to send them regular updates yet.
Gotcha.
But I will start to do that as more come available. We are moving into assisted living facilities.
I see that.
Converting residential houses into assisted living.
I see that.
As well as acquiring active ones. So we are raising money for that capital. And that we do have email campaigns and text reminders. So anybody that's interested in that, we're gathering their information. And a lot of that audience is coming from the healthcare industry.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people that are interested because, I mean, the healthcare industry is huge. And it doesn't necessarily, people don't think that it overlaps with the real estate world, but it does. Because every office building or something, it's still a piece of real estate.
Absolutely. Everything's real estate.
Yeah, so people get really excited to be able to do that, whether it's nurses or doctors, the entire industry. And then two of my partners are also very big in the healthcare industry, so they're bringing a lot of that network as well. So that will be doing more campaigns in the database and just, hey, this is how much we've raised. This is what this one's closed out. Here's our next project. Here's updates on this project. Where you're getting into that.
Got it. So one thing, like one of my mental check marks that I always, when I'm doing something, one thing that I always do, and I think this would be a good takeaway for you, is when I'm doing something, how do I monetize it? Every single thing I'm doing. I'll make an example. One of your contractors is my contractor, right? Which is Jose. And the first time I met Jose, I met him at a property that was doing a pad split conversion. Well, I thought about, well, how do I monetize this? Okay, hey, do you want to learn pad split or co-living? Hey, come to my January 15th meetup that I'm having. You got to sign up on this form. So what am I doing? I'm capturing their first name, their last name, their email, their number. Okay? Now I have data for every single individual who walks through that door. But the cool thing is I told the people that are showing up is I set expectations. I said, you're going to be a fly on the wall. You're going to get to walk this property that I took down creatively, which I'll talk about, the deal structure. You're not only going to get to see that, you're also going to get to see a contract that I've never met in my life. Jose's very first time meeting me, there was 20 people there. Jose was like, what the hell is this? Jose did not know what was going on.
Yeah, who is this guy?
He never met me before. And I walked Jose through the project, walking the vision for Jose because he's never done a conversion like this, right? So I walk him through the project. I give him the vision. But my point here is like, I looked at how can I monetize it? So I did multiple things here. I got there. I got to get a contractor bid, which was Jose. I got to monetize the audience that was there by getting their first, last name, and their email address, okay, which, again, I retarget those individuals. And I got to record content out of it. So I had my videographer there as well. So there's three things that I monetized on, you know, and so when I do things, I always think about that. Same thing with the meetups here that I host here locally. I'm retargeting these people. Now, doesn't mean everybody's going to do a deal with me, but guess what? I'm in front of these people. I'm top of mind of these people all the time. So when you're doing these things, if you plug in some type of monetization, you get a VA to start doing email campaigns that are actually getting good click-through and open rates, you'll start seeing capital come even quicker and talking about, hey, we're going from fix and flipping, we're doing assisted living facilities. Now you just open up another channel of revenue, but not only that, another channel of resources that is coming into you, because that's what I get. And we talked about a second ago. You said, oh, well, you know, I feel guilty, or I feel that I'm obligated to post on social media. You didn't say guilty. You felt obligated to post on social media. Share to the world what you're doing. Well, podcasting and YouTube and Instagram, these are just channels of getting people. So every time I post a video online on my YouTube channel, I always get someone who DMs me, because I tell people in the call to action to DM me, and they DM me on Instagram. So my last one, I had 3 DMs for people who want to do deals. So you see how I'm just kind of curating and I'm monetizing on this stuff. And then I send them a form that they have to put their first, last name in. Hey, here's a piece of value, which people want value. Instead of asking for something, I don't ask for anything. I lead with value. Hey, here's some value. Take my 3-day challenge, because it's typically about co-living. Take my 3-day challenge, which they free value. They put their first, last name, email in there, and guess what? Now I'm monetized. Same thing what Pace does.
Absolutely. And you're giving resources?
Correct. You're giving resources. Yeah. You lead with value, value. 80, 90% of what you do should be value. The 10% should be some type of call to action. Hey, do you want to invest in my next co-living facility? Or hey, do you want to invest in my next assisted living facility or fix and flip? Get 12 to 20% returns. This is what I did with Bob. He got his money back in 6 months or whatever. And now you create this whole entire marketing campaign around it. So.
Absolutely. And it's such a feel good because you're providing value to other people. You're giving good returns. You're giving them the confidence or the tools that they need so they can take action on whatever dream they is that they didn't think that they could do themselves. But watching you gives them inspiration.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I can keep going on and ask you questions about fixing and flipping. And I love the fix and flip model, right? Because I tell people it's not marrying your money, but you can make a lot of money if you hit right. Mm-hmm. Before I go on to the next question that I'm about to ask you, which is about assisted living facility, because you have your hands in a lot of things in real estate. I see you post about fix and flips, Airbnbs, assisted living facilities. I mean, I can't even keep up. Lending, what is it? Ninja lending. You have Ninja lending. I mean, there's a lot of different segments that you have your hands in real estate. And I always tell people there's a lot of ways to skin the cat. There's a lot of ways you can make money in real estate. And you're doing a lot of things. Before I go on to assisted living, what are you buying your fix and flips at? What ARV are you comfortable buying at right now? And how are you pivoting right now with the market that's changing right now? Because I feel like I'm not a fix and flipper, but I feel like it's such high risk to fix and flip right now. And if you're not buying at like 50% of ARV, I feel like you're going to some high risk. So what are you doing there? And you can leave us with on the ARV you're buying at, and how do you feel about the change in the market? I'm seeing appraisals come in low all day long right now. Mm-hmm. How do you pivot in?
I'm buying between, I'd like to say 50, but it's really hard to find deals at 50%. So probably around the 60%. Okay. And deals are very hard to come by. People still want the high dollar, but days on market are sitting. I know. There's a lot of competition for the buyers, and everybody's been waiting on the sideline. I have to say everybody. A lot of buyers have been waiting on the sidelines for that market drop that we keep talking about where interest rates are going to drop, but we've been hearing about that for years now. And I say if you're going to keep waiting, you could wait 2 or 5 years. Like, you date the rate, marry the house.
Right.
Because you can always refinance on that. I have been going about the 60%. I always look at the days on market for my competition to see how long to budget holding cost. And I think where I'm at right now, I'm seeing about 59 to 61 days. So I typically budget at least 90 days. So I'd rather run conservative. So I would
90 days start to finish or 90 days start to sold?
Start to sold.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so I would rather be more conservative and be pleasantly surprised with a little bit more at the closing table than underestimate and expect my house to sell in the first 2 weeks that I have it listed, because it is happening, but it's very rare right now. So I'd rather be excited than disappointed and have to pivot.
Gotcha. So you're just trying to, are you only doing it in one market, Jacksonville?
Yes.
Okay. So you know that market really, 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 really well.
Yes.
And so you're not going out to other markets to try to do fix and flips, even though if you see a good ARV, right?
I mean, I have done it.
Yeah.
But no, I honed it in.
Yeah.
For scalability. Once you learn your backyard, it's so much easier than trying to underwrite in all the cities across the country and then finding different contractors and different agents and different this. Like, if you can just find the people that you enjoy working with and know your areas, again, scalability is so much easier.
Right. So you're now going fix and flip, or you're still doing fix and flip, and you're pivoting into assisted living. Yes. Are you going to continue to do the fix and flip? You have it automated, or now you're going into assisted living? What got you into assisted living?
Honestly, the network. So I found a new person who joined one of the masterminds that I'm in called Sub 2. Okay. And she was a new person that posted in the group, and she was in Jacksonville. So I told her to hit me up, and we connected, and she's in the healthcare industry.
Got it.
That wasn't how we first started. She came, had a couple deals. She had a person that she knew brought her a deal that was interested in Sub 2ing her house. And then we ended up wholesaling it together. So I helped her from start to finish find a buyer. It was actually Jose's brother that ended up buying the house.
Nice.
Yeah, so they came to walk the property because I was thinking about flipping it. But what she wanted for it, the margins weren't going to work. And then he texted me when he left and said, "What did you do with that house? My brother's interested." I was super excited, so we were able to make it work. He bought that property, had instant equity in it, was able to do the renovations himself, etc. But then she started learning more creative finance deals, and then she brought a person that she works with in her healthcare industry to talk to us about assisted living opportunities. which I never thought that I would have any interest in because I am not healthcare savvy. And I've been told a couple times from my healthcare friends to get into that, and I've never blinked an eye at it. And we sat down and talked, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing opportunity. I know the real estate side. Keith knows the construction side. He knows the healthcare operations. They have the entire network. And I'm like, we just have all the pieces covered for this opportunity moving forward. And we're moving into the time zone, the era of the silver tsunami coming, where the boomer generation is all going to be over the age of 65 within the next 5 years.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so the demand is there, and it's really hard to find good, reliable places. That whole COVID era really put a damper on healthcare. A lot of people had family in assisted living facilities and elsewhere that were not able to see their grandparents. My grandmother actually did pass away in a rehab facility during that time, and we were not able to see her, and she felt completely abandoned, and the regulations and things were just awful. So going to the residential conversion is a more smaller scale, where you still have a name instead of going to somewhere that you have 60 doors and it's like, hey, door number 2 needs this. Hey, stop by door number 42. They have that. You still have a name and opinion, and you get to know the family and the grandparent or the grandchildren and things. So it also still has a personal feel to it, and the feel good, which I still love the flipping houses. I mean, we do have that pretty automated now and our systemized. Deal flow comes to me, and I know what I'm looking for. So before I even open the email, I can see the zip code and things in there. An amazing crew, contractors, the money. So that is pretty much doesn't need a lot of attention. So I'm able to use that as the passive income or the active income while we're converting the assisted living facilities.
So for someone who doesn't understand what an assisted living facility is, what is an assisted living facility?
It is for the senior citizens that don't necessarily need a lot of help, but they still need some help. The model we're going for is more Golden Girls-ish, so it's going to be between 6 and 10 beds per house. And there will be 2 people on staff that provide meals and assistance, anything they need, the cleaning, the laundering. There will be doctors that come to the house. There'll be activities for everyone to engage in and things. So as you get to that generation and that time, there's more comfort too, where you have other people to hang out with and you're not just sitting in your recliner waiting to see if your grandchildren or your kids come visit you and things. You actually still have life and people to hang out with.
Makes them feel more at home because they're not going to a big building that is, full of just nothing but people who are needing assisted living facility attention, but it's more like, it feels like a corporate environment. If you've ever been in one of those, I'm sure you have. But it feels like, long hallways, room numbers. Yeah, they have a little bit of amenities, and it doesn't give them that homey feel. Even though that they try to alter the building to where it does bring in the homey feel and like the amenities that they bring in and the activities and stuff like that. But yeah, I've been in a lot of those because a buddy of mine, he's a PT, and that's all he does is work in assisted living facilities. So I've seen a few of them, and also I had my grandma in one at one point. So I kind of got the feel of that. So I look at it like kind of like pad split for old people.
Absolutely. I say the same thing.
Dude, that's pretty cool. So what's the regulations that you have to deal with? Like, is there licensing? Because there's assisted living facility. What's the other one called? There's a, not ALF because that's assisted living facility. But there's another one that's very strict. I know a lot of people don't want to do. I can't remember the name of it.
Is it a group home?
Maybe.
Medicaid?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But is there any like specific like what? Okay, you get a home. It's a 3-2. Walk us through what that looks like converting this into an assisted living facility.
So we do have an architect that comes and does the whole entire design. There's specific regulations, different sprinkler systems, fire codes. So everything does have its own code requirement and things that each one, the hallways have to be a certain dimension, the bathrooms have to be at a certain dimension, and then the ACA compliance, the handles, the bathrooms, the trip hazards, etc. The kitchens have to be locked up at night, so it has to be able to be fully closed kitchen that someone can't just go in there at 3 in the morning.
Turn a burner on.
Yep.
Right.
different separations on that. I forget how many bathrooms. I feel like it was astronomical. I could be making this up, but I feel like it was like one bathroom per eight residents, which I would never be okay with, but I believe that might be the...
That was the rule, huh?
Yeah.
And pad split's 1-to-4 ratio.
Yeah.
So for every 4 members, you have to have one bathroom.
I know. I can't imagine sharing
That's
a
still a
bathroom
lot.
with 4 strangers.
Yeah.
And then there will be two people on staff, depending on how many residents. If you get above another residence, you have to have another payroll on there.
Okay.
So that's where you have to really work your
and
numbers.
do you pay that employee? Or
Yes.
is that coming from the government?
So we don't do government. It's all self-pay.
Gotcha. So that was the difference I was asking earlier.
Yeah.
So
you're probably
from
thinking
what I've
about
heard,
Medicaid
correct.
with self-pay.
So when you deal with the Medicaid and the government, that's what it is. They're very strict.
Yes.
And if you break one rule, it's like they take your license away.
Yes.
So okay, yep, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, and it is licensed, so
Self-pay.
everything, you have your construction and your permitting and zoning, but then you also have the operations side. So the way we
Got
buy these, we buy the house in an LLC separate, and then we have the operation. So that is the assisted living facility, and then the assisted living facility pays rent to the house. So they are separate.
Gotcha.
But yes, there's an operating license, the healthcare licensing and permitting as well.
What type of, so can I do like R1? Can I take R1 zoning and convert that into assisted living facility?
can.
I mean, I would assume like there's like they can't say, hey, no, you can't have people, because it's kind of one of those classes of, you just can't discriminate, like there'd be discrimination, you know? So it's like R1 zoning could be now essentially like a little multifamily property, and converted, for catering to older people.
Exactly. They do have different numbers per county that they allow. Duval right now has 6 people under one roof that are unrelated, but we're working with them just to get the approval that we can do more. So if we have a 3,000 square foot house, I can easily accommodate more than 6 people. So we're just going with them.
Gotcha.
And being that it's like
so you have to get a
still
variance
tagged, yes,
on that?
it's still tagged residential. We still need their blessing before we can get approved for the license.
Got it. So, okay, you're working with them closely. What type of money do these facilities bring in? And how do you curate these individuals to live in the rooms?
So again, a lot of it's organic networking.
Really?
We are targeting to have between 6 and 10 people per house. So
I like that.
yeah, so it's not a lot of people when you look at the demographic of how many senior citizens are within this area. So we actually are expecting a wait list on most of these places because of the connections that my partners have within the industry. They've just been telling people that they know, and a couple people are in control of staffing. So there's people that actually help families, like the children, help find a place for their parents to go stay. So they have a whole list of places like, oh, this is what you're looking for. This is what I refer. This is this person. This is this place. The average cost per bed in Duval is between around $3,200 to $4,000 per month.
Okay.
And then with the full operations and everything, it's probably about a 30 to 35% profit margin.
Wow.
On that.
Okay. So there isn't any marketplace like Airbnb for like assisted living facilities?
I'm sure there is. I don't necessarily
or like brokers who try to broker the deal and take a fee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure there's got to be something out there like
Absolutely.
that. I don't know. I'm just trying to think like to streamline the process. But I would think that if these older people are living there, they never leave.
Yeah.
Like do you have the data on the retention of this person, how long they live there? So like I know on my pad splits, it's 7 to 9 months I can expect an individual to live there. But like how long do these individuals live there?
I
don't know?
got to do more research
Yeah.
on that. But a lot of that, so we're not doing anything like memory care or things that need heavy support.
Mm-hmm.
So once they start getting to that phase where they're going to have to get more support, they're going to have to be transferred to another. I don't want to use the word facility, but they're going to have to be transferred to
another home.
another place
Right.
that's going to be able to take care of them for the needs that they're at that time.
Wow. And so you said they tour the home?
Yes.
The children typically help place them in the home.
Yep.
You're doing 2 people per bedroom?
We do have private rooms also, but yeah,
A private room.
So
would,
half will be
so,
private and half will be
okay.
shared.
So for a shared, it's 3,000 to 4,000 for a shared bedroom.
Yes.
And then, do you put any privacy up, or is it like a curtain, or they just
Yeah, there'll be like a half wall, and they'll each have their own.
a half wall, kind of like a hospital has?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you required to have any like monitors, like heart monitoring, or cameras in the rooms, or does that you have to hire a nurse, right? A registered nurse?
Yes.
Okay. So that's $40 an hour, right?
Yeah.
And they're on call, and you typically have 2 nurses per home. They're getting paid $30 to $40 an hour, each one of them. So you probably have one coming at night, or are they kind of like on call at all times? How does the nursing work?
There will be people on staff 24 hours.
Oh, 24 hours.
Yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
there will be someone there at all hours of the day.
Okay. So you're paying $30, $40 an hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Most of them are between 20 and 25.
Oh, okay. Wow. So I must be generous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do have specialists that will come in as well. So like a wound care doctor or all the different specialists that will come to the facility also.
Yeah. I'm just curious. I mean, I know you're doing self-pay. Maybe you might not know this question, but is the government, I mean, you're talking in the next 5 years, there's not going to be enough beds for these individuals to sleep.
Right.
And I love the model. Like to me, again, it's co-living for old people.
Yeah.
I'm
100%.
already doing the thing. So like, are there any big grants that are being pushed and saying, hey, we need more operators such as yourself to get out there and give these individual beds? But again, you're dealing with the government at that point,
Yeah.
and you're doing all self-pay. So have you thought about pivoting to the government stuff, or no? Are you just like,
Right now we're not. Just again because it's a lot more regulations and
Correct.
monitoring and things. So I believe the Medicaid is around like $1,700 a month, where the self-pay is obviously significantly higher.
a lot of regulations? Just say that, okay?
Yep. Yep.
Just say that.
A lot of regulations.
A lot of regulations, and that's the comparison I was given earlier, because I was like, man, I know I never got into it because there was a lot of regulations, but now you're doing self-pay. That makes sense. And so you're going to scale into that. You're working on that. Let's talk about, you have your hands in other things too. So fix and flips, you're saying, hey, I got this pretty much automated. Now you're doing assisted living facility. It sounds like that's where most of your time and focus is going to be.
Yes.
Right? Do you plan to, with the assisted living facility, do you plan to have any type of fund geared toward that, or no? Like a security? Or no?
We have a couple different options. So right now we're raising money and just offering returns on some of these, but there's going to be a couple that we're bringing on in the next couple months that we will be providing equity share for our investors. And then for our larger scale, we were working on 4 in another state. And we do have a private equity firm that is one of our other partners. So we have a couple different capital raise opportunities in that realm. But as we move forward with other ones, yes, eventually we will end up setting up our own fund.
I love it.
Yeah.
And there's Mandy going with the imperfect action, just saying, assisted living facilities. I don't need to know who's doing it the best. I'm just doing assisted living facilities. I met a woman the other day, and this is where I'm going, right?
Exactly.
So you have your hands in assisted living facilities, fix and flips. Are you the one? Do you do the ninja lending, or is that Keith?
That's me.
Oh, that's you as well.
Yep.
Okay, so you do ninja lending. What all are you doing in real estate other than the fix and flips and the assisted living facilities?
As you mentioned, the Airbnbs, and then lending.
Lending.
Yep.
Gotcha. So how do you do all this?
Well, they actually all go full circle. So they go hand in hand. And when you start working with people, they all use that. So people are either wholesaling and I'm buying their deal, or they're flipping and I'm lending them money. Or they come across a residential house and I buy it for assisted living.
Got it.
So once you start getting your network out there, you run into the same people over and over again. So Funding Ninja is an affiliate arm that does fix and flip loans, rehab, pad split, new construction, and DSCR. And then I do private money lending on a smaller scale right now. So I'm not just lending nationwide, because that takes a lot of time to work with new people, their experience level, underwrite the market that they're in.
Correct.
Does their deal work? But I will lend to people that are already in my network if I know they've already flipped a couple houses, or I know that area, or
Right.
XYZ,
Right.
and I'm confident and comfortable with it. I know the person. We have a great relationship. They have good integrity. Then I can lend to them.
I like that.
I do intend on growing that part of the business, but right now I want to get the assisted living facilities on a scalable model, and then move into scaling
Yeah.
the lending on a larger property.
Gotcha. So yeah, you have like a lot of similarities to me. You know, I saw a lot of opportunities that were missed in either tools or skill sets I didn't have that I wasn't capitalizing on. So like you said, either you're not buying the flip, but you're lending on the flip, or you're buying the flip, or vice versa. And that's actually what I did in my business as well. Is like they're all full circle. They all complement each other.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it, you're your own customer. You're vertically integrated. And that's how I like to run things. Like I like to be vertically integrated, being my own customer of things.
Absolutely.
That's why I always love the service-based businesses, is because I look at my P&L every month and I see how much money I spend on plumbers, HVAC guys, electricians. Why don't I own those companies and be my own customer?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'm doing the thing anyways. And not only that, like you'd be surprised. I always tell people as a real estate investor, you'd be surprised how much stuff you know on all different types of trades. Plumbing. I can speak plumbing at a high level. I can speak electrical at a high level. I can speak pest control at a high level. Like when I have conversations with these guys, I know whether they're bullshit or not, And when I go to hire people, I know whether they're bullshit or not, And that comes with obviously skill set, time, and in the industry and stuff like that. And even like when I hired Jose, like I know how to vet my contractors and to mitigate people from taking my money, because we all know contractors are thieves.
Yeah.
You got to be very careful with these guys. They will take your money, they'll take your bid, they'll take your draw, and they'll go to the next project and take that draw and go to the next project, and they do that over and over and over. I've actually had $40,000 stolen from me from a contractor before. It's part of the game.
Same here.
I know we're
That's
talking
how we
about
learn.
exactly, and it is my tuition. And I know how we all talk about like, all these good things that we're talking about right now, but there are a lot of bad things. So what are some bad things that have happened to you, or some learning lessons that have happened to you in the industry?
Well, it's funny you just said the contractor. I have always led with integrity, and I trust everybody probably too much. I have always given everybody the benefit of the doubt of
Right.
like everyone's
Sweet
a great
old Mandy,
person.
sweet old Mandy.
Yeah, and there was red flags with this contractor that I hired to do an out of city property. Came from referrals. He was in one of my similar masterminds, so I automatically think everybody there is a great person because we're all in the same room, all learning from the same people. Hired him and gave him too much money, and then went down to check out the property, and it was awful. And paid him for a roof that he didn't put on, paid for irrigation that he told me was done, and then 6 months later said, "Oh shoot, it's actually not done, and I can't do it." And several other things, and probably out at least $50,000 on that, and haven't been able to do anything with that one. So that was a very good eye-opening situation to make sure you vet everyone and everything. Don't overtrust. Don't just write checks without proof that things are happening.
Yep.
Because I'm not new. I should have known better.
Yep.
I've done hundreds of flips at this point, and I still let him run away with my money. But again, I learned a lot, and I will never do that again.
Yep. And these guys are hard to sue, by the way. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to sue. The amount of things I learned off that, and just like you said, it was my tuition.
Yeah. Well, after learning that and talking to attorneys, because I'm not a sue person, I don't like the time, the energy, but
Right.
I felt
Costs more money.
Yeah, but I felt like I needed to protect other people from this happening to
Correct.
them, because I have learned that he's been doing this to a lot of people.
Right.
So I started talking to a couple other people, and I think I know 7 other people that he has significantly damaged their business because of the money that he stole on properties that were never finished.
Yep. And the guy that I dealt with, the company I dealt with, sorry, I'm not going to say guy, the company I dealt with, they were running a Ponzi scheme nationwide.
It might be the same person.
And I was one of their victims.
We can talk offline, but it very well might be the same. We might
Oh
have both
my
got.
gosh! So that was one of them. What are some other things that you've seen or you've dealt with that you overcame and persevered through that would be something of value to someone to hear? Like, yeah, we all get money stolen, but what is something else that you persevered through? You said, hey, you know what? This didn't work out. I'm going to get through it. whether it was a deal that you lost, a deal that went south, money. I mean, obviously you spoke about that just a second ago, but what is something that you can leave someone with value and say, hey, you know, this is something I went through. I got through it. Mandy got through it.
Man, there's so many. But the first one that comes to mind is one that we're dealing with right now. Again, just kind of learning all the things, doing all the things, because if you don't do it, you don't learn it. We bought a burnt mobile home in an area that we already owned several houses in and thought that we were just going to renovate that. So after checking it out, we decided that we were going to tear it down and we were going to get a new one.
Yep.
So we took that down, and someone brought us a mobile home. We, again, should have vetted this person. Got us one for $35,000 across the state, and that was going to be coming here.
Oh.
Then he kind of ghosted us, and 2 hurricanes came through, directly hit the area that mobile home was sitting in. So it was really hard to get in contact with anybody. It took months. We finally get a hold of somebody. It survived, but there's a couple holes in the roof. There's been leaking water in there. At this point, we didn't know what to do, whether just wash our hands of it and get a new one, follow through with this. But again, we've already paid for it. So
Right.
We're sitting with the land. We're sitting with the mobile home across the state. Several other projects going on, so that wasn't necessarily the number one priority of the day because we had day-to-day things going on. Sent a team out there to transport it. They wouldn't transport it because something with the structure. So it took probably 4 months to get someone to even bring it over here. We finally got it to Jacksonville. We are double the cost of what we anticipated that being. Not only the holding cost, because it was supposed to be a quick 6-month turn, and I think we're on month like 14. Mm-hmm. Luckily, we have great relationships with the private money lenders and such. And renovations are almost done on that one. And we're trying to decide if we're going to sell it or refinance it and keep it in our portfolio, which at this point, I never want to look at that thing again. I'm ready to end our relationship together. I think we will end up still breaking even on that and not losing money. But the lesson is you just keep doing, moving forward, because it's not gonna be the end of anything.
Yeah.
So
you
nothing
mean to
ever
tell
goes
me,
as planned. Nothing.
You've been in real estate how long?
10 years.
10 years. Wow. Okay, cool. So just as long as I have. So I've been in 2015. So you mean to tell me 10 years, all these deals you've done, all the knowledge you have, you still get mistakes that happen?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
It's part of the game.
Yeah, and people think life is perfect. Well, and I also blame social media for that too, because most people only post positive things.
Correct.
Like when you're having a down day, most people don't jump online and say, hey, I'm
correct.
having a down day.
100%.
Hey, I don't feel great.
It's,
hey, I got burnt. Hey, da, da, da. So people naturally get on social media and all they see is, oh, everybody's having fun. Everybody's doing this. This person had a success. This one made a bunch of money. This one's on vacation. So I do try to share some of the not so happy moments. Right. It's not my first thought when I'm not having a great day to get on and share everything that's going on. But I'm trying to do that because I want everyone to know that is normal. Every single person goes through it. You're going to have ups. You're going to have 100%. Downs. Celebrate your wins and celebrate your losses.
Right.
Because it's not your last loss. And people love to see that because you connect with someone who can be real and show the ugly and the dirty because it exists. And it's motivating, and it brings people up.
I agree.
Like, so if one person is doing their first project and it's not going as planned, they think they're a failure. Mm-hmm. But if they jump on and they see someone who's done 50 of them, but they're going through a similar thing, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not alone. I am going to be okay. This time will pass. It is going to get better. And,
absolutely. And that's the one thing about you, now that I'm talking to you, is what I said in the beginning. You look at the times where things didn't go as planned and you look at it as like a positive, and that right there shifts your mindset so much. Everything is mindset.
100%. And you have to have it.
Everything is mindset, and that's where most people mess up, is they don't have the right mindset. And when things don't work out, they get in a negative mindset. Your brain, your thoughts control everything. So if you're going to be negative Nancy about something, it's really just going to set the tone for the rest of your day or week or month. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize that.
Yeah, and you go a lot further with positivity.
100%.
Just like you attract more flies with honey.
Absolutely.
You do.
Absolutely. So there's a lot going on with the lending, the flipping, the assisted living facility. I mean, just like you said, it's all full circle. And a lot of what you're doing is what I do within my businesses in real estate. And that's awesome. I'm glad that I got to learn a lot more about what your operations look like. What is your day to day? You don't just leave the family in a camper and tell them to go. I saw that post the other day. I loved that. I was laughing. I was like, she's like, all right, bye-bye. See you later. But you're shaking and moving. I mean, you're on one side of the, state one moment, then you're on another state next, and you're in masterminds. I mean, you're doing a lot of things. What is one takeaway that and you don't have to answer right this second, but what's one deep takeaway that you can think of, you can give to the listeners right now out of everything that you just mentioned? What's one takeaway they can walk away with that you want to give to them?
Okay. You said I don't have to answer right now, and then you looked at me like, hey, answer right
No,
now.
you don't have to. Just think about it for a second, because I want it to be powerful. What can you leave them with? Because, I mean, the reality is I can go on and on and on, but I think, what is one thing that Mandy would tell the people?
I want to tell the people to believe in yourself. You can do it. Anybody can do anything that they want. If you're dreaming it, just do it. If you wait till tomorrow, you've already wasted a day. If you think you have to wait until you're here, you've already wasted all this years. Life is already short. It goes by way too fast. So do what you want to do and take care of the people, because people is really where the magic happens. You don't do anything alone. Everybody plays a major key. So talk to everybody. You might not be doing a deal with your neighbor, but your neighbor's uncle or your neighbor's cousin or so-and-so. You make an impact. Provide value, lead with value, build your relationships, and live the life that you want to live.
Love it. What are your big main goals that you're focused on right now? What's the goal? Do you want 900 assisted living facilities? Do you want to have 30 flips you're doing a year? What are your main goals right now? Do you want to climb Mount Everest?
I don't.
Physically?
I don't. I think everything that we're doing is all about the time freedom and just being able to do what you want to do when you want to do. And I feel like we're building that. The assisted living facility, I want to provide a comfortable housing environment for 20,000 senior citizens that are growing into that. I feel like that generation gave us life and gave us where we are today, and they deserve to be taken care of in their final days too. And I want to provide value to everybody else and inspire other people to live the life that they want. So anything that I can help, whether it's teaching you how to do creative financing, how to get into flipping houses, if you want your first rental property, if you need tax benefits, if you want returns on good money, or if you want to leave your W-2, if you want to become a nomad, just anything you want, I want to help you get to where you want to be.
I love it. Mandy, you're so powerful. You're amazing. Like, you literally have came in here today. You've shared tons of knowledge. And like you said, you have so much going on. I can just keep unfolding and peeling back layers of the onion. Like, you gave so much value to the listeners today. And I appreciate that. And you're just an amazing person. Good energy, kind-hearted, go-getter. You're a power player. Let's face it. You're a power player, and you're out here kicking ass, taking names. Like, seriously. Like, I love it.
You.
And I love talking to you. I remember when I saw you at I think it was Trevor's Flip that I saw you and your family at, and I was like, man, I love them. I love the energy. I just love it, and I can feel good energy and I can feel good people, and you're damn sure one of them.
Me too. People
Seriously.
are the best part of this industry.
Yeah, and you're damn sure one of them. So where could people get a hold of you? What's the best way if someone was listening to this and they're like, man, you know what, I'm a mom, and you know what, I want to replicate. Are you helping people out are you giving like any type of coaching to people, or are you just saying, hey, partner with me on deals? What's a good way for someone to get a hold of you?
At The Connection on Instagram.
Okay.
That's probably the best way. And then I do have mandykonecki.com as well for the website. I'm not necessarily doing coaching, but I do have some boot camps on showing people how to get into creative finance.
Yeah, I saw that.
And some fix and flips. And I would love to partner with anybody on a deal. I'd buy it from you, partner in JV with you, or you can be one of my lenders. I'd love to work with you.
So, guys, what I want you guys to do is DM her the word Leo. Okay? DM her the word Leo if you're listening to this podcast on her Instagram if you want to collaborate her. Mandy came in the room today and she shook it up. She brought her energy. She brought her charisma. She brought the power player that she is today on From Closings to Capital. I'm your host here, Javier Paredes. Don't forget, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm not just doing this for fun. I want to give you guys the value that she's given me today by you guys continuing to follow the journey and getting to see individuals like Mandy who are power players, bringing no fluff, bringing the real deal to you guys. So I hope to see you guys on the other side, and I'll see you on the other side.